Hey witches!
Welcome to week 1 of our journey through the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot.
This week we study the Fool, whose essence is much like our own on this journey.
The Fool signifies new beginnings, a fresh start, pure potential, and spontaneity.
So grab your notebook, your tarot cards, you'll only need the Fool this week, and let's begin our journey.
I'm Kat. I'm Jamie. And we're New Witch Academy of Modern Magic. Love that. And I'm a new witch. I've been practicing for 4 years since I moved to Florida, and both my daughters were witches. I was like, well, that looks like fun.
Yeah.
So,
fun.
and it has been. So, and Jamie, you want to tell us, like the 1 minute elevator?
Oh man. Well, my story's long, of course, because I've been practicing for over 25 years, but that's it. I've been practicing 25 years, and along my journey, I have just brought in newer witches that want to learn. And I've been like one-on-one teaching witches. And when COVID happened, I was like, I need to reach a broader audience. So I quit my real job and decided I would start the New Witch Academy of Modern Magic and start teaching witches full time. And my husband was like, I love that about you. Do it. Yes. So here we are.
You should have with you tonight your tarot deck with the Fool. We only need the Fool tonight. And
a journal or
a journal, because we're going to give you homework. We are using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck.
Very important.
And the reason that we are using this deck is because if you can read Rider-Waite-Smith, you can read virtually any deck. Most of them, not all of them. They're based. Most decks are based on Rider-Waite-Smith, and you might never hear the deck called Rider-Waite-Smith. But we are here tonight to tell you that we really appreciate.
We're going to
honor Pamela Coleman Smith.
Absolutely.
Who, because of her, we can actually interpret tarot today.
She gave us pictures to intuit messages, and we're going to explain all of that.
This is Pamela Coleman Smith. I don't know if you've ever seen a picture of her, but she is the reason that we can intuit tarot cards today. So she was a mystic, and she was part of the occultist society. So she was born she died in 51. I think she was born at the end of the 1800s. But anyway, when she was, so first of all, she grew up in London. She was born to American parents, but she spent time in Jamaica as a child. And so if you notice her style, so her style's got this very witchy, totally witchy vibe to it. So she styled herself in the West Jamaican or West Indies fashion. Mm-hmm. And we love that about her because it's so witchy.
Not just today.
It could totally be witchy for today. So she was 31 years old when Edward Arthur Waite approached her about illustrating his vision of a new tarot deck. So what he did is he didn't care about the minor arcana. He cared about he gave her guidance or direction, if you will, on the major arcana. So all of your trump cards. But for the minor arcana, he just let her have free reign. So when you look at those pictures, you can be like, that's her telling the story that she saw in the cards. So we want to show you what you would have been, all right, what things would have been like for us if not for Pamela Coleman Smith. So this is on the left, what Jamie's pointing at here. This is an original tarot card deck from I can't remember, 1500s.
Yeah.
It's not an original card, it's a replication. But this is what the cards look like. Before Pamela Coleman Smith illustrated the cards, we have the Three of Swords and the Three of Swords. So who could have gotten anything out of
this one?
The original, and the other ones, all they were on these, on the
original cards,
on the cards, not on the major arcana, but on all of the
minor
hit cards, all the minors, all the 1 through 8 through 10. They were all just a bunch of symbols and nothing else. So I don't know how you ever would have read that. So anyway, she was 31 when she illustrated these. She did everything in ink and watercolor, all 78 images from her Chelsea, London, West London flat. For her work, she received a small fee, but no copyright. However, that little squiggly there on the lower right corner, that is Pamela's signature, and she was an artist too, so she has artwork out there with that same signature on it.
Yes.
But she didn't get any copyright for that, and this deck has sold over 100 million copies. 3 years after Rider Waite was published, she quit making art because it just wasn't lucrative for her. So she was in a time of society where women didn't have shit. We didn't have rights. The only rights we have are whatever our husband were. So that was the time that she lived in, where, and she wasn't the only female artist that suffered this fate, but you know, women couldn't get recognized for much of anything except being somebody's husband. So for that reason, we want to toast.
We're toasting.
We're going to toast to Pamela Coleman Smith and thank her for what she did.
All her beautiful artwork that now allows us to interpret and intuit the tarot as we know it today, which most decks are built off of anyways. We're so grateful to Pamela.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Which is why we're calling the deck Rider Waite Smith.
That's right.
That's how you will hear us refer to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Jamie's going to tell you about why we're only going to be in these 11 weeks, we are not going to cover reverse meanings, and Jamie's going to talk about that.
Okay.
Why aren't we covering you can just,
I'm so excited. I feel like I have a million paragraphs in my chest right now to say, but I'm just going to try to speak a few. All right. Number one, the reason for not covering the reverse during this meetup is because we have 78 cards to go over, and if we did all the reverses, this is going to last you guys like 24 weeks. Okay, so it's not conducive for learning. The opposite end of that is, if you know the positive associations with a card and you want to read the negatives, it is not hard to deduce, to understand that if this is happiness, what is it upside down? It is unhappiness. So we will let you guys use your powers of reasoning to understand what the reverse might be. Not every reader reads the reverse. I use Kim Krantz for the most part, and she does not do reverses in her deck, and I like that. She actually, for the one explanation, there's multiple ways to read it. So you've got positive and negative. It doesn't mean like if it's reversed, it's this. It can mean positive and negative in one reading. And so that is the way that I take the cards, because I felt like it was just a lot of extra stuff to be like, let's learn 78 cards and let's learn another 78 reverse meanings.
Listen, it's a lot. Basically, reverse meanings are the blocked energy of the cards.
Yeah.
If the card's about love, then it's like about lost love, unrequited love, or something, some negative aspect of love. Or there's cards that you can probably think of. The one is the Three of Cups. I think it's a celebration. It's three ladies raising their cups. They're dancing.
Getting drunk with
it's like we're going out and partying. So if that was the reverse meaning of that, might be
loneliness, loss of friendship, lack of celebration. So we're going to let you guys deduce the reverse meanings all by yourselves, okay?
And you don't ever have to read.
You
don't ever have to read reverse meanings if you don't want to. That's up to you. In fact, there's a lot of in the tarot commentary community, there's a lot of, discussion, or rather disagreement about whether the reverse meanings have value.
All right, I have a quick fact that's not in our notes, but when the cards were being put together, you guys, nobody said that there was going to be reverse meanings. There was no book published with the newer tarot deck that was like 1913-ish, 1919. I can't remember the date. But when this new age deck was published, the Rider Waite Smith deck, they didn't publish a book. You know how you buy a little tarot deck now and you get like a book with all the, here's upright, here's reverse meanings. They never published one. People asked him for a meaning, like, hey, we need to know more about what you thought about this. And so 3 years after the deck, he finally published a book. And even that which can still be bought on Amazon for like $6 or $7, is not that descriptive. He's kind of like, well, here's what I was thinking when I made the card, but it's your decision, it's your intuitiveness that says what it means for the person in front of you. So that's a good clue to like, it's not all supposed to be written out for us.
And
It's not memorization.
All right. So now, okay. Let's see. So the value of books, multiple books.
So many tarot books that are out there. If you guys came here tonight because you're like, the overload of information, how do I just get to it simply? Yes, we feel your pain 100%. And there's benefit in having many books because she's about to show you all the books that
I'm just going to show you like some of my collection of books. It's not very bright, but these are just some of my books.
It's too many. Oh gosh, they're falling out.
When I started out, I thought it would just be one book, but what I have discovered in buying multiple books is the interpretation of the writer.
Yeah.
They have somewhat different interpretations. So it's really interesting to like lay them out together and compare them and be like, oh, so that's how that person interpreted that card. And I think that's the really strong message for anybody that's trying to learn tarot, is that it's about your interpretation of the card. If you have the basic meaning of the card, we'll take a card, we'll take the heart, the three of swords, a heart with three swords through it. Yeah, we already showed that through it. So if you just look at that and you don't know anything about tarot, what's the very first thing that you would think about that? So
a heart being stabbed 3 times with some rainy ass clouds. What's that mean to you?
So I guess the point we want to make is that you're going to learn to read tarot the way that you interpret the cards, and you're going to bring your own experience to it, your own perspective. And yes, you can look at a book and you can get the general meaning of it, but I strongly encourage you to just, and we're going to give you some lessons along the way that are going to help you do this, but to just sort of put yourself in the card to say, what's going on here and what do I get from this? And you may not get anything right away. It may take, a few times to do that. So,
all right. Okay. I don't know where this is, but I feel like it's really pertinent for me to say this now. It might be in the notes later. I'm so sorry for jumping ahead like I do. Okay.
Like she does.
If you're thinking right now, like, well, how in the F am I supposed to interpret a card that I may not know anything about or see or whatever? Or how do I know that it's right for the person I'm trying to read? Or how do I know that it's right for me? I'm going to give you guys a massive clue to that. Our belief is that you have a team of light on the other side trying to give you messages and trying to give other people messages so that they can live their highest purpose, right? That's why we seek people that do divination, whatever it is, palmistry, tarot cards, doesn't matter. Well, you are a divine individual who can receive messages from your team of light, who is put in contact with that other person at the right time to deliver what you see. And that is why you guys come together. So don't ever think that it's not right, it's not meant for them. Just say all the words that you're thinking without judging yourself. That is using your intuition organically, like without the ego stepping in and going, are you crazy for saying that? You don't know that about that person. What the hell's wrong with you? We don't need any of those ego thoughts. It's just going to be about intuition, just saying what you think. And if you don't know if it hits with that person, there's always the additive of, if this doesn't make sense now, keep it for later. It might come into play. Boom, done. Just record that. That makes a lot of difference later. Okay.
And I'm going to add on to that to say that if you are reading for somebody else, and even if you're reading for yourself, try to put a positive spin on things, because tarot is not fortune telling. So it's a look at a period in time. When you're reading your cards, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, whatever, you go see a tarot reader, you read for yourself, and you read for someone else. It's a snapshot of somewhere, but you have free will. If you got a reading that's like, oh shit, some bad stuff's coming, you have free will to change that.
Yeah. It's never about what you know is right. It's about the messages that come through, and later will be confirmed that it's right. I think that's very helpful, that we don't need the right answer right now from somebody. It's have information and it's useful later. That's an okay thing to do within tarot and all divination.
And to try to boost your confidence a little more, I want you to remember there's no right or wrong way for you to read. It's your way.
That's right.
So
No right or
I
wrong.
know
way
if you're
to
like
do it.
brand new, we had some people who were like ones, you know, like one experience. Feel confident that you can read tarot.
We can do like an intro story as far as like, I just want you guys to know really quickly, my introduction to tarot was I was 17 in my art class, and my art teacher goes, I think you'd be good at this, and just hands me a deck of tarot cards without any book or anything, and just wanted me to like lay out cards for people. She gave me zero instruction. I'm like, yeah, this feels right. Let me just like lay some shit down and see what can I tell people? I was not a popular kid in school, so I kind of thought of like, oh, I could say some stuff to people that it's like it's me, but it's not me. It's the cards that, you know. No, but then the stuff that came through was really authentic, and it blew my mind. I really didn't understand why I said the things I said. So that was how I gained confidence in my own reading. I don't know if you said your first reading thing. That probably should have been in our introduction.
I don't remember. I don't remember. Okay, so now that we have talked about, Pamela, toast Pamela.
Toast to Pamela.
Reverse meanings of cards, why we're not going to cover those. The value of having multiple tarot books, I think, so I would pick them up used. Yeah. If this is something that you're really in, it's like you can't ever have too many books on astrology. You can't ever have too many books on tarot. That's my opinion. Now that I've started down this path, I didn't think that 4 months ago, but now I do.
Yeah,
so
they're like I'm on the one and ultimate tarot book.
Yeah. Now I'm like looking for them at the thrift store, looking for them on sale.
And it just gives you a different insider perspective that may match up better with you than other books. And that's really the key. When you feel a fit, go with that. Don't go off what everybody else says. I don't know if you guys have heard of Biddy Tarot, but I love her. I love her website. I love all the things about her. She's an Australian tarot card reader. And I know people who swear by her, but when I read her stuff, I'm so lost. I feel like I've been in a tornado and landed in another place.
It's a lot of information.
It's like I don't get it. That does not help me. So find what works for you as far as interpretations or meanings.
Well, and I think the important thing too is to learn to interpret them yourself.
Yes.
Because you don't want to just memorize a bunch of
You need ideas, yeah. But the books and the people who are out there writing about it give you ideas of like, oh, this is what really connects. That's what our course is about. We're going to help you connect with these cards and find your story within them so that when you read for people, it's like natural, like, oh, I remember this. Oh, okay, yeah, I totally see what this represents.
Okay, so if you haven't guessed already, in this 11 weeks, we're going to try to help you build your confidence through these lessons and through the exercises that we're going to give you for homework.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so without further ado, our journey begins with the Fool.
Okay, I'm in advance. Yeah. This is my job. Woohoo! I got it.
Straighten up the Fool. The Fool represents new beginnings. You just look at this card, like he does look like he's about to step off of the cliff, but you don't know what else is out there because we're not seeing what's in the rest of the card. So, but this is a card about new beginnings and fresh starts and unlimited potential and adventure and spontaneity and impulse. And so I relate the Fool to our journey here through the tarot. This is going to be us going through the tarot full of just like our minds wide open. We're going to be open to all kinds of ideas and thoughts. Also in the Fool, the zero number, that represents an open container encompassing everything or nothing at all. So it's wide open here. So this is us. This is all of us in this meetup. We're getting ready to step off into this big adventure as this totally innocent, happy person who's getting ready to go on a journey. And one of the things that I like to try to do with the card is to give it a one word that I can always remember, or one person, if I can relate the card to a person.
Yes.
Then it will help me remember it. So if you can relate the Fool to somebody that you know, or even yourself at a particular time, or you can just think of one word that describes this card for you. And it doesn't have to be my word. What's your word for it?
Yeah.
What's your word for somebody who's starting a brand new journey? Jamie's going to give you the homework.
For homework this week, we want you to get a notebook dedicated to your tarot learning adventure or journey. And we want you to try to do a a card a day reading, which all that means is that you pull a single card a day for inspiration, for clarification, or just to practice the learning and go, oh, what does that card mean? And you're just trying to give it the simplest meaning at first, okay? We're starting out as simple as you can. You can make it more complex later, but you want to record that within your journal. So, the theory is that if you do this over a year's time, you're going to pull every single card and some of them multiple times. And that's going to give you a good record of, oh, I remember this card. There's the memorization. There's the writing it down. These are all things to help your learning. So in your journey, once you get a word or a phrase down or a person that you associate the card with, we also want you to look at writing about a time when that was you in your journey through life. When you've been the Fool or another card during this 7-day pulling a card till next Monday, but write about when you were in that position within your lifetime. Okay, and if it doesn't match exactly, that's okay. Remember, this is not about following rules and being within a box that you have to color in. We're just looking at the interpretations and associations that can make this personal for you. And then I know that, can I say for next week?
Yeah, so for next week. Yeah.
Next week, we're doing the Fool today. This is the journey that begins all the journeys. But for next week, we want you to go ahead and have ready. We'll be thinking about cards 1 through 7 of the Major Arcana. And we have that listed out in the meetup, but that's the cards for next week. So right now we're thinking about the Fool. If you can do your card a day pull until next Monday to just get familiar, then you'll have more questions ready. It just adds to the learning with everything.
Thanks for joining us for week 1 of our journey through the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot.
This week we studied the Fool and learned about Pamela Coleman Smith.
Join us next week as we learn about the Major Arcana cards 1 through 7.
We'll take a deeper look at the Chariot and the Hierophant so that you feel confident interpreting those cards the next time they come up in a reading.
To learn tarot takes study, so be sure to do the homework, which you'll find at the end of this video.